Hello. Okay, we are going to be doing a polar bear mask today. I have a white paper plate, a Dixie cup, and I just had a little Dixie cup and that I painted just all white. If you have those little plastic fruit cups, that would work really great too. The link that I got this from originally used that, but I don't have any of those, so I just used what I had. So any sort of small little um, paper cup or bowl will work. We're going to be using this for the bear's snout. Okay. I have a black marker, a glue stick, or regular glue. If you have the Elmer's glue, that'll work too. Tissue paper, white tissue paper, or just tissues like me if you don't have tissue paper. And then a piece of white paper. The original craft also used pom-pom balls, but I don't have any pom-pom balls. So what I did is I took an old black sock and I actually just balled it up. Turn it inside out, maybe get an adult to help you ball it up. Maybe glue it if it doesn't stay. And what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be gluing it to the snout to make it look like a nose. If our regular glue does not hold it, then I'm going to end up needing to use a hot glue gun. If you do end up needing to do that to get your nose to stick, then make sure an adult does it for you, okay? Because those are get really, really hot. And if you don't have any sort of pom-pom, you don't have any old black socks like me to use, you can always just draw a big black dot on your snout too. You don't have to actually have the 3D piece. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to do is we're actually going to draw the ears. So I have my piece of white paper, and I'm actually going to use this cup to trace the ears. Nice and carefully. One, do another. Notice how I don't try to go all the way around. It's too hard to reach around my arm. So I do half of it, then I come back underneath and do the other half. Tap my marker, and then I am going to cut out these two circles. Always be nice and slow. Take your time with cutting. Better to get it right by going slow than to rush through it and have mess up and have to do it again. Okay, I've got one. Something that you could also do is if you do not have any kind of container like I do or a little Dixie cup that you can use, then you can also just turn the rest of this white paper into a cone or a tube and then just cut off the tip of it, and then you could just plop the pom-pom ball right on top. Or a circle of black construction paper could work too. Okay. Now I have my two cut out circles, and when we glue this on, what I'm doing is, see how there's a little indentation in my plate? I am choosing to use this side as the face, so that kind of looks a little 3D, like it's coming out a little bit. You can use whatever side you want. I'm going to put the ear, I'm not going to have the whole ear sticking like all the way out like Mickey Mouse. I'm going to have them kind of partially covered, maybe half covered. Stick them back there. I'm going to put a little bit of glue on the ears and then glue them onto the back of the head. Make sure that they're both on top though. That's where the ears for ears are. Yeah, that looks good. Right there. I think I need more glue though. Because my paper plate is ribbed, like it has these little bumps on the outside, it's not sticking quite as well. I might have to hold it down for a little bit longer. Or I might find that I end up needing more glue. The Elmer's glue, the liquid stuff, might work better than a glue stick for this one. So if you have that and you're having trouble with your glue sticks, then just try that. That should do it for now. All right, so I got the beginning of my bear. Now, the next part of this is we are going to be putting tissue paper on our bear. If you don't have tissues, do like me and use some actual tissues. What I'm just going to do is I'm folding this up and then I'm just ripping it as carefully as I can so it's not just like random rips. I kind of am trying to rip like a strip of it. So now I have a strip and I'm going to rip that strip into smaller squares or rectangles. I'm going to make a bunch of these. Alright, so I've got a little pile going. I'm going to pause my video and come back when I am all done ripping up my strips. So you can pause the video too while you either cut up or rip up your tissue strips. Okay, so now I have my pile of tissue here. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to crumple it up. Get it nice and crumbly. Nice and wrinkled. There we go. See, I've got nice wrinkly pieces here. We don't want it to be smooth because we want it to kind of look like fur. So we are going to want it to be nice and crumbly. So if you come across pieces that you're like, oh, that's still nice and flat, just crumple it up before you glue it on. Okay, so next we're going to draw on the eyes. And because this is going to be a mask, we're actually going to be cutting out the eyes. So you don't need to color them in. We're just going to do circles. Just think about how big you're going to need for your eyes. Work pretty good. So, and we'll just leave that like that. I'm going to cut out the eyes as the last step. Just turning this on. Because you might end up wanting your adult to help you. If they have a X-Acto knife, they might find that it's easier to cut it out that way instead of using scissors. But for now, what we're going to do is we're going to glue on the tissue fur. So grab your glue stick or your Elmer's glue. And let's start at the top. Put a bunch of glue above, between the eyes and the ears, top of their head. Just gonna do this whole section. I know it's probably really hard to see, but I just put glue right around here, okay? Just totally covered that spot in glue. Now, I take my little squares of tissue. I'm just gonna put them on. Push your little squares of tissue on there. It doesn't have to look perfect or pretty. Just get them on there. Make sure that they're sticking though. If they're not sticking, you gotta push them on harder. And if you're like me and you've got little clumps on these spots, you can separate them out. Better to have more of them than thick clumps. Just separate out your little tissue pieces. Crumple them up nicely. Don't lay them flat. And then when you cover that spot, just add some more glue and do a new spot. How is yours looking? You getting your fur on there? Can you kind of start to see the 3D fur in here? I know it's tough because it's all white, but you might be able to start seeing mine from that angle. Okay. Now I've got a good start here. You can see it's looking fluffy right at the top of his head. Where we are going to cover most of this face with it. What you can do, if you are going to do like me and you're going to put some object here for the snout, you can put the snout on the table and trace where you're going to put the snout, because you're not going to need to put fur on that spot. It'll just end up getting covered up anyway. So that we don't end up wasting tissue, I'm going to trace the spot where I'm going to put my snout so that I don't end up putting tissue in these circles. So those are the 3 spots on my plate that I'm avoiding. I'm not putting any tissue or glue inside those circles. All around it, okay? Now, I'm going to pause my video while I finish gluing on all of this tissue for the fur, and I will restart it once my step of gluing the tissue is finished. You can pause the video now and you can do your step too. Okay, now I'm all done putting all of my tissue on, and now look at my furry bear. You can see that 3D fur popping right out. I did put enough just around the edges of the circle that I had made just to kind of cover it up so we wouldn't see that black circle. Now I'm going to have to cut out the holes for the eyes. So you might have to have a parent do this or an adult. What I'm going to do is something I've done before. I have to poke a hole. If you're using scissors, I'm going to have to poke a hole really carefully there. Go, just to get it started. And then I'm just going to cut away these little circles so that my eyes have something to see through. Once we're done cutting out the eyes, our next step is going to be to glue on the snout and the nose. Okay, got one eye hole cut. Poke another little hole. Nice and carefully, nice and slowly. Go. Now I've got my little eye holes. Okay, mask is almost done. All right, the next part, taking the cup or bowl that you have and getting it glued on there. Now, if you are like me and you just have a cup, there isn't very much here to glue down. So what I think I'm going to do first is I'm going to actually glue a piece of paper to the bottom of it. So just like you did for the eyes, we have to trace our cup. If you are using a fruit cup, like I mentioned earlier, those actually have little rims, so you don't need to do this step. You've already got something to get your glue on. That'll be good. Right, I've got this cut out. I have to glue it onto my cup. I'm going to put a bunch of glue covering all the outside. Good outside ring of glue. I'm just going to put that on my cup. Just kind of hold it there. Maybe give it 10 Mississippi counts. Okay, while we're doing that, we can put, while that's drying, you can put a little bit of glue in the circle that we left free. The spot where we didn't put any tissues. If you did put tissues, this step might be a little bit harder for you. It'll definitely be easier to use some of that liquid Elmer's glue than a glue stick. because the tissue will just stick right to your glue stick. Okay, so now I've got this here. Now I've got a firm base that it's going to stick to. Hold that down. 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi, 4 Mississippi, 5 Mississippi, 6 Mississippi, 7 Mississippi, 8 Mississippi, 9 Mississippi, 10 Mississippi. Okay. So, seems to be holding pretty well. I think that's good. My next step, I'm going to glue down my sock or my pom-pom ball. So, once it's glued down, you want it to look like this, just right on top, that black nose of the bear, okay? I think I'm gonna use some hot glue for this step because mine's made of cloth, so it's not gonna stick very well with my glue stick. So if you have a hot glue gun at home, ask an adult to help you glue that down. If you don't have a cloth or a pom-pom, like I said, then this step, instead of gluing, you're actually drawing a black circle on the top of your cup. Lots of glue there. Okay, now just pushing it down and holding it down for a little bit. Hot glue can take a little bit to dry too, so give that a good 30 seconds. Okay. Now, once you feel like your snout is all set and all glued, I'm still holding it because I'm not sure if it's done drying. Once you feel like your snout is all done, then the last step is we can draw a little mouth. Draw a little smiley face. Now, bears' mouths are sometimes like this, where they've got the little line that comes down, and then up like this. See how I'm kind of just drawing really slowly and carefully on my tissue because I don't want to rip it. I don't want to ruin all the hard work I just did putting all that tissue on there. I'm just really carefully going over it a couple times. Oh, and I've got a little smiling mouth on my bear. Now, if you want to wear this as a mask, what you could do is punch 2 holes in the side and attach a string so that it goes on your face. Or, if you don't have any string, but you have a little chopstick or a popsicle stick, then you could also just tape or glue a popsicle stick right here, and then you'd be able to hold it right up to your face. Okay? There is your finished polar bear mask. Thanks for watching, boys and girls.